Welcome to... Well, I actually don't have a name for this one, mostly because the name would give it away, since everyone has apparently forgotten all of the things that I've told them about this D&D campaign that we are starting.
You didn't tell us much.
No, but everyone has forgotten the few things I have told you.
Yep.
So, let's do a quick rundown of who is here. I am Stephen, I'm going to be the Dungeon Master for this interesting thing. Who else do we have here?
Hi, I'm Hailey.
Hello.
I'm Miriam.
Stephanie.
There we go.
Okay. So, no one has actually created any characters. The only thing that anyone seems to remember is that they are going to be forced to play vampires. Miriam has forgotten that she has a required class that she's also playing. And Hailey has already picked her class, though I don't think she remembers what it was.
No.
So,
Depending on when we talked about this, this was a couple months ago.
yes it was.
I was just impressed I managed to pick my own class.
Yep.
By myself.
So the race that they're playing is a homebrew. It's actually one that we did on the Lair of Lore podcast number 8. And has since been fleshed out a little bit more. Hailey's class has one change to it, but it's fairly minor, and we'll go over it as well. Miriam's has one fairly minor change as well. And it's largely because of the setting that these characters are from, since, again, no one remembers that. We'll go over that in a bit. If you're seeing the video, it's kind of obvious from the background. And where are you going?
Spoon!
So,
Everything's got a spoon in my tea setup.
the first thing we need to get all of you to do is pick what house you belong to. Because yes, you belong to a vampire house. There are 4 potential options. I'm not going to tell you names or what... This is basically going to be your stat bonuses.
Did you get to pick A, B, C, and D?
No, I'm going to give you some descriptions about them.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But beyond that, I'm not going to tell you what the actual things are until after you've picked them.
Super.
So there are 4 houses. 3 of them have become significantly smaller as of recently. The first one was largely wiped off the map by a very, very angry angel. And by wiped off the map, I mean she came into their house and stabbed them all with a very large spear. And the ones who are still around are a little bit crazy. They were going a little bit crazy before anyway, because a lot of the vampires like to pretend that they're very noble, amazing creatures. These guys were just kind of, no, humans are sheep, and we eat them when we want to. And they were a lot more about, frankly, enjoying the fact that they are effectively immortal. We've got another house who recently became a lot smaller because they used to basically run the entire business area out along the coast. To the degree where actually all of you are vampires, you have a weakness to living wood, especially stakes driven through your hearts, but among other things. They bought up this area of town and started paying shipbuilders to, cut down the entire forest within several miles around their town. However, a good majority of them have recently gone a tad bit crazy, because they're pretty sure that this strange sea god that they worshipped has appeared out of nowhere and are currently eating it. Although most of them don't really have the mental faculties anymore to purposefully do anything.
So we have one who treats humans like sheep.
Yep.
And then one who...
They-
sea god has appeared.
But the ones that are left still see humans as a necessary resource for business, largely.
On Family B.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then Family C, also largely reduced in strength. However, no one's entirely sure exactly why, or how, moreover, because their building used to be on top of their massive family manor used to be on the top of a mountain. The mountain's gone, but the building is in the same place. Like, it's floating, and apparently most of them are still stuck in the walls, and possibly alive, but they can't really leave. There's still a few of y'all alive and are kind of angry about whatever happened, though none of you seem to have quite the full story. Before this happened, this house was much more regal. They're, frankly, rather proud of the fact that they brought vampirism to this world about, I think it's 7,000 years ago. They brought vampirism to this world and created the other families. There used to be 13 of you.
Oh, good.
Now there's only 4. They very, very much love this idea of we're nobles. They have knights. In fact, most of the ones that are remaining were knights who were guarding the front or who were out, like, representing the family through the rest of the world. And then the last family we have left, which is largely not decreased in size, is, while they still pretend to be rather noble, they're a little bit more obsessed with elegance and decadence. They're well known for throwing these massive parties where humans actually crave to get invitations to it. And they know 100% that they're getting invited to a vampire party. And they know and are really happy with it because there's a 50-50 chance that either they are going to be eaten alive, or they'll be a little bit eaten alive and then turned into vampires. And they really like the idea of joining this family because they're just big on these awesome, amazing parties, because vampires can still eat, they can still do everything that normal people can, they just also have to drink blood, and they sort of get an intoxicated thing from it. So, these families do each come with stat bonuses. However, no matter what, you will have weakness to fire and living or recently cut wood. I doubt you'll have to deal with the recently cut wood thing, but just so you all know. In D&D terms, that means you automatically take double damage from it. And
someone hits us with a stick.
it has to be a recently cut stick, but yes. A stick will
How recently cut is recently cut?
Usually within a week.
Okay.
Okay. So if basically someone cut a stick from a branch and just smacked us with it.
Then you will take
They
double
just like,
damage from that
"Whatcha?"
stick.
And then psh,
Yes.
we're dead.
From a
Done.
stick.
You also will have a unique ability, which is Blood Siphon. You can drain the blood from a living creature. It deals 4d4 necrotic damage. You can only use it once a day max, and even then, you're still pretty full, because what you're basically doing is, while the blood is there, you're mostly drawing out life essence. And you can only handle so much of that. So if you try to use it more than twice in a week, there's probably going to be some negative effects. If you kill the creature, you will not create a vampire or anything. If you wish to actually create a vampire, there has to be an exchange of blood. So you have to drink theirs, and they have to drink yours.
Got it.
And you do regenerate hit points equal to half the number of damage dealt by this. And I will try and throw this all on your character sheets just so you have access to them. But no matter what family you get, those you will have access to.
And this is just for blood siphon?
Yes, this is just for your blood siphon. And no matter what, you'll have the weakness to fire damage and the weakness to living wood.
Weakness. I'm taking note of all of this so I don't have to find it later.
Yep, and I just want to make sure, because I don't think we came up with any sort of extra... Yep, we did not come up with any sort of
We
flags.
did this right before, we came up with some of this right before I left. for
Yep.
Shadowrun.
Yep, on our 8th
I
episode.
I vaguely remember some of it.
I remember some of it. You just had to say it all again.
Yep.
This was the episode where my mic was picking up my laptop.
Yeah,
There was this weird feedback loop of my own voice.
yeah, that was
and it
early
was
on.
driving me crazy.
So, with that, who would like to pick what families? You can totally pick doubles as well, it doesn't really matter. And it should be said that you are currently in an army that is, for the first time in millennia, made up of most of the remainders from these families that haven't either gone crazy, started following their sea god, or stuck in walls.
Okay. I actually know which family I'd like to be part of.
Okay.
I'd like to be part of family 3.
I'm not going to remember the order, so please tell me which one that was.
That was the living walls.
That was the living
Actually,
walls?
The Markovs.
Yes, that is the Markovs.
Yeah.
So, the Markov...
The Mark-
Okay, you are part of the Markov bloodline. These are the guys who brought the vampirism to the world, since Miriam has now revealed the name because she remembered. This is set on Innistrad, which is a magic plane. So, about 7,000 years ago, Grandpa Markov brought the vampirism curse to Innistrad by getting the 13 original heads of houses to drink the blood of an angel. The Markovs get a +2 to strength and a +1 to their constitution.
Okay, where are you? I'm trying to figure. I need a. Are we allowed to mod our character sheets on Roll20?
Yes, I also just added it to your bio and info.
Oh, beautiful. That
Yep.
is easy.
The Markovs do not have any extra things right now because this is one of the 2 families that we had not actually done on the show. The other 2 have some other things that come with basically being a race in D&D. So the Markovs and one other family will have to work on before the next episode of this to figure out exactly what bonuses you'll get beyond stats. But I do have stuff for the other 2, because we talked about them.
Dun, dun, dun.
So, Hailey and Stephanie, which ones would you 2 like?
I'll go with the second one. The crazy ones that worship society.
The Sea God, yes. So, those are the Stromkirk, who we did actually do. They are another one of the ones who very much see themselves as nobles. You get a +2 to charisma and a +1 to intelligence, and then you actually get a series of spells as well. At first level, you get Prestidigitation, which is just the silly little, like, you can change the color of things, you can make little, like, floating lights. It's the mage do a bunch of silly random things. At level 3, you get Disguise Self, which you can cast on yourself once per day. And then at level 5, you get access to Darkness, which is, I believe, a 60-foot in diameter, just like blob of magical darkness that natural light cannot pierce, but some magical light can. And I don't know why we made this specific, but for some reason the Stromkirk in particular have the ability to choose not to do lethal damage with the Blood Siphon. I think that was a thing because, unlike some of the other families, they don't go all...
See humans as useful?
Yeah, because they see them as a resource, a renewable resource. So I believe that's why. But that if you don't do lethal, that means you don't get as much health, so yeah. Hailey, which one would you like?
I'll do the last one.
The last one?
Yeah.
That is the Voldaren, who we did not do stats for, but I believe we were going to go something along the lines of charisma and... what was the other one for them?
Oh, what was it? I think it was charisma. We argued about this.
Yeah, we did. That's why it doesn't have official stats yet. Hey.
Yeah, that was definitely one we argued about.
Yeah. I'm gonna say charisma and wisdom, just because they actually are one of the few houses that has not declined in any way, so they have to be at least sort of sane. So I'm gonna say you get a +1 to wisdom, +2 to wisdom and a +1 to charisma, and then we'll figure out your extra stuff as well. So the special class that you had is a hush.
It's 30.
Yeah, I know. Is a... I know you can't see the dog as well on the video, but he's right behind me complaining because he would like dinner. You have the class of Blood Knight. For those who are familiar with D&D 5th edition, it is literally just the Eldritch Knight, except that she gets access to necromancy as an additional for spells, because Eldritch Knights can only normally get access to evocation and abjuration, I believe. Miriam, you are locked into being a wizard with the required first school that you learn being necromancy, and the additional strange thing of you have a spell that is largely similar to what is it called? Raise Dead? Or I want to say it's Raise Dead. The thing that makes a zombie that follows you for 24 hours. You have to... You will continue to have to cast it, and you have the option of basically attaching things to this zombie.
I remember this.
Yes.
Oh god, I remember.
Miriam's character is a Stitcher from Innistrad. If you don't know what they are, they're basically people whose entire idea is, I want to make a Frankenstein's monster.
Ooh, this arm looks nice. Ooh, this eyeball looks nice. Ooh, that foot looks nice.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Not necessarily all human either. However, as you continue to attach pieces, attempt to reuse pieces, they can fall apart. That is going to be a thing that we're going to work through. You don't currently have a zombie with you, because you're in an army, and it's sort of assumed that, go hit the things, you can deal with it. I would also like you to try and figure out flavorfully how your magic will work, seeing as on Innistrad there aren't a bunch of, like, pure mages. Usually people are channeling, like, the power of geists that they've captured or bottled or something, so please feel free to figure out how exactly that is going, what you have done to, like, power your magic. Stephanie, do you have any idea what class you were going to be playing as? We talked about it a little bit, but I know that was also a while ago.
Yeah. I think I was going towards Rogue.
Okay. Let me find your thing, because I think I just have you set for the default on Roll20 right now, that is
Yeah.
Barbarian? And Miriam has already come up with a name for her character. Wonderful.
Yep.
Okay, well, next time then there will be text showing off that Miriam is playing Isolda... Is it Isolda? Isolda Markov. So, because y'all are vampires, and vampires on Innistrad can, in some cases, last for 7,000 years, they don't have an upper limit for how long they can live, as far as anyone knows, I'm going to say that all of you can pick when you were turned into vampires. I do not care how old you were. There is even a record for, I think it's a couple of 8-year-old twin girls that were turned into vampires by one of the families. So whatever you want to do with that is fine, but you have been vampires for at least 20 years. So you've at least been around to see some weird stuff. This is also a weird plane anyway. There's vampires, there's werewolves, there's humans who actively go out and hunt them, there are angels who try to help the humans, until recently when most of the angels have gone kind of crazy. Oh, by the way, there's that whole sea god thing. So basically, someone is pissed at the head of Miriam's family, and brought what is effectively the magic version of Cthulhu to this plane, and you all are in the army that is going to try and help kill it.
Oh, good. That sounds good.
In the primary city on the plane of Thraben. When we start playing, this is shortly after the head of this army, Olivia Voldaren, the head of your family, has just made a pact with the few remaining humans who also haven't succumbed to the sea god's madness. This madness, by the way, comes with tentacle growths and immediately hitting the thing next to you. The few humans who have not succumbed to that, who are also fighting into the city of Thraben, to agree to not fight them right now, and not eat them as well. So this is very much all of you, when we start playing, are going to be heading to try and fight a horrible, tentacly demon god. That's your plan. Yeah.
It's a good plan.
Yeah.
I wonder if I could switch its tentacles if I get one.
You are also aware that there is a small army of werewolves on another side of the city that is pushing in. But they're mostly fighting equally tentacled up werewolves, which don't look a whole lot like werewolves anymore, so that's probably not the side of the city you want to head to.
They are really gruesome looking.
They are. Yeah. I will send some of y'all a little bit of the art for it after we are done.
I've seen the card art since we covered this card series.
Yeah.
In the podcast. And
they are known as the Drone Pack, and one of them has a very amusing flavor text where someone goes, "I almost miss fighting werewolves. At this point, I would like to see something that even kind of looks like a wolf." This is attached to a thing where it looks like a werewolf, and then when it turns, they had cards that transform, so they flip over, and it's just like, you can sort of see a thing that looks like a werewolf head mounted on a tentacle that's coming out of, like, the left side of its chest, and that's the closest thing you get to a werewolf now.
it's pretty horrifying.
This plane is kind of falling apart. But you're in the army that's trying to help. So, from there, it's very much going to be however you want to do it. I will say that you can pick the noble background because all of you come from families that at least pretend to be noble. If you choose not to, then you can pick any of the other backgrounds, basically from before you were a vampire. And those will just only affect, like, your, some of your trained skills, basically. And if you have specific tools. Because you are nobles, I'm also going to say that you basically get to choose whatever weapon you would like. No magical weapons or anything, but whatever sort of weapon you think fits your character best, and that fits with your class still. Not any of your normal standard ones, which, by the way, is because you're also starting at level 3. Part of this is because two of you, for your specialized things, sort of need to be at your archetype level, so that you can start out as a Blood Knight and you can start out as a Necromancy Wizard. Stephanie, this just means that if you're still going with Rogue, it means you get to immediately pick one of your 4 archetypes, which are all actually pretty good as well for Rogues. And I can send those over to you so that you can do them off-air. The other thing is that for your stats, we are not doing a point buy, we're doing rolling. The roll is basically going to be the normal way that you do a D&D character roll. You roll 4 dice for every stat, and then you take the 3 highest ones. However, in this case, I will say that you can re-roll any 1 that you get, unless it's already been re-rolled.
Okay.
Not any, 1 dice, any 1 that shows up on a dice can be re-rolled.
Sweet.
Yep. This is mostly just to account for the fact that I don't want any of you to be way too underpowered, but I also don't want to do a point buy system and make it too easy for everybody. Or, in some cases, too hard to try and figure out exactly how you want to spend that last little bit of points.
Yep.
Okay.
With that, I think that's pretty good for this episode. I mean, I don't think that we're going to be getting into combat as we do character creation or anything. Yeah, I think that's pretty much about it, unless you all have anything else to add.
Nothing I can think of.
Okay. Hey all, thank you very much for checking out this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider leaving a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And maybe checking out some of the videos that are playing alongside this, or any of our social media that's down linked below. You could also, if you really like what we did, consider supporting us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/lairoflore. You can get access to the extra bits, which is all the stuff recorded before and after every podcast, where it's uncensored and just silly as all hell. And you could also get access to everything we do 24 to 48 hours early, so maybe consider checking that out. Let's crack open this loot box and see what we can get. Double rares. We've got rare gold, which is, 50 currency? Not too bad. We've got the Soulstone Demon Slayer, which is the in-universe fighting game reference to Diablo. We've got a blue Torbjorn skin, however we already got the purple one, which I'm frankly a lot happier with. This one just doesn't look as silly. And the Defender spray for Zarya. Not my favorite, but could definitely be worse. Thank you all very much, and we'll see you next time. Bye.